Welcome to the channel for the first time viewers. Welcome back from my existing subscribers. Today we're going to go over the Samsung G6 OLED. So it's a 360 hertz that I picked up. So I just want to give a special shout out to Topgunz, one of the channel members. He actually recommended it to me via email, and had it not been for him, I wouldn't have picked this up. So I wouldn't even, because monitors weren't really on my radar. I had an ACER and it was fantastic. So hopefully this will be one of the videos that you watch that kind of help gauge whether or not you should get this monitor. So I'll talk about a couple different things, and I'll throw in some gameplay and just try to run from my phone's camera. So it's not the best experience here, but I will say a couple things that I really love about it. It's my first ever OLED experience. I don't have any OLED TVs. Actually, second, I lied to you. I have an OLED laptop that I picked up in January. So that was actually my first OLED. So let's run through the specs on this monitor. It is HDMI 2.1, which I felt was very important. I just wanted to make sure that if I ever did, because I know for a fact when I was trying to upscale to 4K or put output to 4K on a PS5, HDMI 2.0 monitors typically wouldn't allow that. But the LG monitors would allow you, even though they were 1440p, to put out a 4K image. So I saw that and I was like, okay, got to make sure I get that. Plus, if I ever were to use HDMI with one of my PCs, I wanted to be able to actually have a high refresh rate experience and not be capped at 144 hertz. So it's a 360 hertz monitor with a 0.03 millisecond response time, which is phenomenal. And it is a glare-free OLED. All right, so the big things you want to look at: 360 hertz refresh rate, the 0.03 millisecond. It does have FreeSync Premium, which essentially is compatible. It makes it G-Sync compatible. So you'll be able to use an AMD GPU and have FreeSync, and that's native, or the Nvidia GPUs and have that G-Sync compatible where it kicks in G-Sync. It does not have a G-Sync module, which my previous Acer did. Now, since this is my first OLED, a lot of people talk about burn-in. So there's a 3-year warranty on this. They have this OLED safeguard technology that includes their groundbreaking cooling, dynamic cooling, thermal modulation, that auto controls brightness to prevent burn-in. Pretty much it just dims your screen. And one thing I'll notice is with the OLEDs, if you look at all the sections that are black, it's like a true black, versus when I was using, it was a LCD screen, but it essentially just didn't, like, it was like a dark gray, versus these are like true black. So it's kind of tough to see things in the dark. And like I said, they got the 3-year warranty. It's got a metal frame. So like on the edges, you can see it's super thin. The monitor itself, which I'll put the actual pictures up, is super thin. And you got 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, a display port, and a couple other USB ports in the back. So definitely a lot of connectivity there. And price wise, it's $8.99. And right now, Amazon has a $200 gift card. Samsung has a $200 Samsung gift card. Actually, is it Samsung gift card? Yeah, Samsung credit. And Best Buy gives you a $200 Best Buy card. So essentially, you can see this for $6.99. If you were planning on buying anything else. If you weren't planning on buying anything else, then it kind of doesn't make sense to count on that as any kind of savings. But what you could do is, for me, I went and bought the Best Buy Geek Squad protection. So once they give you your gift card, if they allow it, I didn't test because I got it separate, but if they allow it, you might be able to just go ahead and flip around and buy the 4-year protection plan, which kind of negates anything like burn-in or damage or anything like that. So that would be a better purchase in my opinion. Now, what I was debating between was to jump up from this monitor up to maybe the 4K, which is the G8. Saw a lot of reviews on the G8, saw almost no reviews on the G6. Now, for me, some of the driving factors were, okay, how often am I going to have to get new hardware, right? So if I decide to stay on the 4090 for a little bit, that means I'm going to pretty much be stuck. If I get the 4K, it's 240 hertz, it's fantastic now, but I'm gonna be stuck getting the new hardware all the time. Whereas right now, if I stay at 1440p, even though it's 360 hertz, I might not be, necessarily going through and maxing it out forever. But at the same time, if I do get some new hardware, or I throw in any of my AMD cards for Call of Duty, I'm pretty much right there. So that's one step one. Step two was the price, right? So you have 1440p as one factor, just longevity. 360 hertz. It's still a great experience as far as visually for me. And then you have 4K, right? So that is, visually even better, but over time, you're going to have to upgrade a lot sooner. Console wise, shit, I don't even think it makes too much sense. But some people are going to get it for the console and play 4K. I plan on playing NCAA on this, and I did notice that on the Xbox side of things, you get 120 hertz versus on the PlayStation, you can only get 60 hertz, which I thought was kind of a bummer. But yeah, price wise, if we talk price, you got $8.99 versus $12.99, which is a decent little chunk. You know, it's not. Oh wow, I really missed that tackle. That is absurd. Which is a decent little chunk of change, but you also have to factor what I just mentioned before, which is having to get hardware upgrades a lot sooner than if you were to get 1440p. So that kind of played into the final decision making for me, and I decided to go with this one here. The colors, as you can see, are spot on. They're fantastic. I've never had a monitor this good, and I've never had an OLED monitor like this. Period. Like I said, I have a ZenBook, which if you need a laptop, it's okay. The battery life is the only thing I would knock it for. It's an i9, it's 32 gigs of RAM, it's got a 3054 gig. I don't use it for gaming. It's literally to edit videos at work and Salesforce. So outside of that, though, if you are looking for a good, solid computer that you might need to plug in throughout your shift, I would recommend it. And it's a 14-inch, so I don't like big laptops. Super light. I get a lot of compliments on it. A lot of people are like, hey, your laptop's really nice. So it feels good. But other than that, like I said, OLED experience, first time, solid. I'm glad I waited. There were some other OLED monitors that were 240 hertz that came out earlier this year. I want to say it might have been the Alienware. I'm getting bodied, yo. This is absurd. It might have been the Alienware, but essentially with those, it was HDMI 2.1. So I know, or 2.0. So I didn't want to go HDMI 2.0 again, right? So I knew that was kind of the only downside of my Acer is whenever I try to do anything like hook up two computers, I have to use a DisplayPort splitter just so I can keep a higher refresh rate because, you know, HDMI 2.0 caps out at 1440p at only, what was it? I think it caps out at, oh my God, okay. It caps out at 144 hertz. So it is significantly worse looking than if you were to essentially jump over to a 1080p, which is 240 hertz, and that's fine. But I don't play at 1080p. So do I recommend this monitor? Hell yeah, 100%. I'll say it's a slam dunk. I saw somebody, one thing I'll say is you got to be more of a gamer than anything if you want this monitor because the text, my dog is going crazy. So if you're hearing it is what it is. But the text is really fuzzy, right? When you're doing productivity, it kind of has like a little purple halo around it sometimes. That's the only thing I would say is if you're not strictly getting this for gaming, you might want to look at maybe something different, right? I'm not a monitor guy, so I'm just telling you based off my own experience. I can only tell you if I think something's cool, if I think something's trash, if I think something's all right. So I think this is a really cool product. I don't want to say I love it yet, but I really, really like it. And we'll see what happens in the long term as far as if there's any kind of burn-in or anything like that. But if you have any questions, just throw it in the comment section. And like I said, I do recommend this monitor. So I'll put a description or a link in the description if you want to support the channel and you plan on buying it anyway. So with that, I'm gonna cut out. Y'all be easy.